Greetings, fellow citizens. This is Citizen Kong. Well, on my last Fez night, and the way I do Fez night, it's all off the cuff, like I really do any real research, and and sure, that's grounds for fair criticism. Um, when I started on YouTube, I used to do a lot of political blogs, and man, I would get into some really heavy arguments with people, and I grew tired of it. So then I have Fez night, where I just create opinions kind of in a safe arena. I rarely do this type of video, almost never anymore, where I respond to a person with a video. Um, but in this case, I'm going to do that for Napalm Blute because I consider Napalm Blute an intelligent person, and he's quite articulate, even though we may not agree on a lot of things. I think he's deserving of this video. So anyway, I made an off-the-cuff statement that I think, if I remember correctly, if I'm not go back and watch it, I was going to say that I didn't say I thought I said that Obama was less of a warmonger. If I did say he was not a warmonger, I stand corrected. I'd have to say maybe he's not a warmonger. I don't know. But the point is that I was saying that Bush started two wars and Obama didn't start any. Well, the topic of Libya came up, and Napalm Blute considers Libya, what's going on in Libya, an illegal war. Well, and there's many that are calling it a war, but the administration officially is not calling it a war, and it's probably a matter of semantics and what you consider a full-blown war. I would think a lot of us would agree that a full-blown war actually means boots on the ground. But of course, dropping bombs on people is an act of war. Okay, it's not funny. All right, so still, whether it's a war is still open to debate. It's debatable, the definition of war, and it almost seems like an argument for the lawyers. Now, why we aren't, as a liberal, I'm all for going into countries where people are being oppressed and killed, genocide, etc., and putting a stop to it. It's a shame we can't do this in more places. And usually, what happens is that there's a hidden reason why we're doing it. We might declare we're doing it for humanitarian reasons, but it's over oil or territory, or it's simply somebody we don't like. And I had to ask myself, if this were a Republican administration, would I be critical of what's going on in Libya? When Bush invaded Afghanistan, I supported that because it was about going after the Taliban, going after Al Qaeda, going after the people that initiated 9/11. I was completely against going into Iraq, and the reason, and trying to make the connection between Saddam Hussein and 9/11 was false. But I did support the war in Afghanistan. Now, what's going on in the Middle East, from what I remember, what I gather, is that there was groups of people standing up and protesting the government, basically an uprising. And I feel that it's a legitimate uprising. I feel that it's a grassroots sort of thing. And as an American, sitting there watching that, and whether they want a theocracy or not, that's their right. As an American watching that, it sort of seemed like, and this is the Middle East. Maybe why we're not going into Darfur. Okay, you ask that. Why I wish we would, but there's this whole idea, and it started with Bush's neocon thing, is that democracy is going to spread. I don't believe that democracy automatically, you can plant seeds of democracy, it's going to take root. But when people are feeling that they're being oppressed and they want to overthrow their government, as long as it's not from, I don't know, unless it's not done by criminal means, I'd have to think about that. Let's stop while I think about it. No, well, anyway, Libya. From what I saw, there were these people overthrowing their governments in the Middle East, Syria, Lebanon, or protesting their government. And Gaddafi, and I think Napalm Blue pointed out that people were being killed in Syria that were being fought back. But it was my understanding that Gaddafi was being even more hardline than the people in Syria. And what's going on in Egypt, if they want a theocracy, I think it's the legitimate right. Napalm Blute calls himself an isolationist. He says, well, he's not a full isolationist. Well, I mean, let's just say, for argument's sake, he's an isolationist. In that regard, then you would be against any interference in other countries' affairs. In fact, the isolationists did not want us to enter World War II. And I think it was a good idea that we did. So we had a very active discussion in the comment section. And granted, I've had enough people that try to convert me. So usually my approach with somebody that I feel is trying to convert me is I sort of bob and weave and avoid the direct questions and sort of play around. And usually I try to trip up the person in their own logic. And when Napalm Blute said that he liked Gaddafi, okay, what he said was he liked Gaddafi because he has balls. And so I had to seize on that. I mean, and it's late, I'm tired, and I don't really have the energy for really, these days I don't have the energy for really trying to do a legitimate debate. Granted, okay? But when you said that you liked Gaddafi, I just couldn't help it. It just, obviously you don't like Obama, and then you like Gaddafi, So I sort of seized on that, and I understand, that we could see somebody that is not a good person, but we could admire certain attributes that they have. I said that I could see that Stalin had courage, but I would never say that I like Stalin. So I guess that's about it. Okay, so I'm open to this, to see. I mean, after sleeping on it, I'd have to say, okay, I'd have to ask myself, is what we're doing in Libya, first of all, the definition of whether it's a war? And if we're going to decide that it is a war, then it's true, it's an illegal war, okay? But the jury's still out on that. I mean, there's a lively debate going on, because after last night, I decided to actually look at the paper. I don't have time for the paper anymore now that I'm working. And then I looked at the opinion page and just glanced over two sides. And mainly what I saw is it comes down to a matter of semantics at this juncture. If there are nefarious reasons for why we picked, or why the Obama administration picked Libya, I'm not privy to that sort of inside information. And so that has yet to be seen. So I do appreciate hearing other opinions. Sometimes I can be a little closed off from it, sure, but I do try to be fair, and in this case, I'm trying to listen. So no, I'm not an isolationist, and like I said, I mean, there are a lot of places in the world I would really like for us to stick our noses in. Oh, and the other thing that the differences between what happened in Iraq and Libya. One strong difference is that we did not have the backing of most of NATO in that regard. I think only the United Kingdom. Well, I guess there were other countries, but the French were definitely opposed. And in this case, I have not heard a lot of NATO or European official criticism from the heads of state from those countries. All right, well, I've gone on long enough, and so I'll be paying more attention. All right? Okay, this is Citizen Kong. Enjoy the rest of the week, and see you next Fez night. Cheers.